Julian came to the hospital on my 6th day, in intensive care. Celeste walked in beside him wearing the diamond from her photograph. Neither asked whether I could move my right leg. Julian locked the door. "Give me your phone," he said. I pressed the call button beside my bed. He unplugged it from the wall. "You're making this uglier than it needs to be. Plug that back in." Celeste stepped forward. "Ava, AVX41 improved your asthma. Your nighttime attacks dropped almost by half. What happened was awful, but nobody could have predicted it. Your animal study predicted it." Her eyes shifted to Julian. He had not known I heard that part. "You were sedated," he said. "Memories after a neurological event are unreliable. The kitchen camera isn't." Silence filled the room. Julian recovered first. "Anything filmed inside our home belongs to both of us." "My attorney disagrees. Delete it." "No." He moved toward my phone. I put it beneath my thigh. Celeste caught his sleeve. "Don't. She is about to kill a drug that could help millions because she's jealous." I looked at the woman wearing a diamond bought days after I nearly died, and wondered which part of my reaction he considered jealousy. Julian bent until his face was close to mine. "You got 6 weeks without an asthma attack." Celeste got the final response data she needed. If the side effect had not happened, everyone would have won. Except the woman nobody asked. "I am your husband. You made me responsible for your care. I trusted you to fill a prescription, not volunteer my body." He straightened. "You always do this. You take one mistake and turn it into a verdict on our marriage." The door opened. Theo stood outside with Renee and 2 security officers. "The call system at the nurses' station showed a disconnect," Renee said. "Dr. Hart, step away from the bed." Julian pointed at Theo. "Of course he's here. How long did it take you to crawl back to him, Ava? A week?" Theo started forward. I raised my left hand, and Theo stopped before turning my hospital room into a fight between 2 men. "Renee," I said, "I want both of them removed, and I want the unplugged call button photographed before anyone reconnects it." Celeste's confidence finally cracked. "If you report this as an unanticipated drug reaction, the regulator can freeze every Aetherocyte." "Then you should have reported it before you boarded a plane. Security escorted them out." Julian shouted from the hall that I would come home when I had finished performing for Theo. That afternoon, Mara returned with hospital counsel. Carolina Meridian had suspended Julian's research access and Celeste's site privileges while it secured the records. Enrollment in the AVX41 study was paused internally. The sponsor's safety officer and the institutional review board had been notified of my serious adverse event. The hospital could not promise what the federal agency, medical board, or prosecutors would do. It could promise that no new patient at that site would receive the drug tomorrow. I signed releases for my medical records. My attorney submitted my written refusal emails, pharmacy history, smart device export, and the preserved camera clip. She also filed complaints with the study's review board and the federal office responsible for drug trial oversight. The divorce petition was served on Julian in the hospital lobby. He called me 19 times. I blocked him after saving the first voicemail. "You owe me a conversation before you destroy my life," he said. I saved that sentence in a folder named Motive. I spent 3 weeks learning how to button a shirt again. My occupational therapist, Lena, believed pity was a contagious disease. Whenever I became frustrated, she made the task harder. "Your hand is angry," she said, as I dropped the same button for the 7th time. Good. Angry muscles show up. By the time I left inpatient rehabilitation, I could walk with a cane, sign my name, and smile with both sides of my mouth if I concentrated. I did not return home. My attorney obtained temporary exclusive access to the house after showing the judge the unplugged call system, Julian's messages, and the disputed drug evidence. Julian moved into Aethera's corporate apartment. Celeste had already been sleeping there. I returned to the house once before the locks changed. My attorney came with me, as did a court-approved property officer who recorded everything we removed. Celeste had prepared for the possibility that I might die. Her clothes filled half my closet. Her skincare bottles stood in a perfect row on my vanity. The framed wedding photograph that used to sit beside our bed had been placed face down in a drawer beneath a velvet box containing the receipt for her diamond pendant. Julian bought it with our joint credit card the morning after my surgery. In the bathroom, my weekly medication organizer was empty. The labels from my approved inhalers had been peeled off and pushed beneath the trash liner. I did not touch them. The property officer photographed the bin, bagged it, and wrote the seal number in front of me. My hands started shaking when I reached the kitchen. The broken coffee mug was gone. Someone had scrubbed the floor, but a dark brown drop remained beneath the refrigerator where the mop had missed. 6 weeks of my life had been recorded in that room as clean trial data. The only visible sign of the morning it ended was a stain the size of a freckle. I left it there for the forensic team. The first formal research interview took place 4 days after my discharge. Mara Singh sat beside an outside forensic auditor in a windowless conference room. My attorney sat beside me. A recorder stood between us, turned on only after everyone agreed. The hospital had found subject 17. The subject had no medical record number, no screening visit, and no scheduled appointments. The file contained my age, asthma history, lung function values, and smart inhaler data under a false name. The usage entries matched my personal app down to the minute. 43 doses, the auditor said. All identical timestamps. My device sent them directly, I said. Julian connected Trial Sync. The auditor nodded. That is consistent with the connection record. She slid a copy of the consent form across the table. My signature appeared on page 12. It was a good copy because it was really mine, lifted from the refinance documents on our home. The long downward stroke in the A matched. So did a tiny gap where the mortgage scanner had skipped ink. The timestamp was not as good. The consent file had been created at 10:38 on the morning of my seizure, 71 minutes after I arrived in the emergency department. Someone had changed the displayed date to 6 weeks earlier. The audit log kept the original. Julian's credentials created the subject record. Celeste's credentials approved it and marked consent complete. At 4:17 that afternoon, while I was in surgery, Celeste updated the safety page. She entered headache, moderate, unrelated to study drug. There was no seizure, no clot, no hemorrhage, no intensive care. At 6 o'clock, she uploaded a chart for the BioFuture Prize Committee stating that all 17 subjects had completed the observation period without a serious adverse event. They needed my catastrophe to disappear before their press call, I said. Mara folded her hands. The hospital has substantiated serious violations of its research policies. Employment, licensing, regulatory, and criminal questions belong to different processes. I don't want to suggest that this meeting decides all of them. I appreciated the warning, even though it was not satisfying. Can they still receive the prize? I asked. The Carolina BioFuture Foundation was scheduled to honor Celeste in 10 days at its annual gala. The award came with $2 million in unrestricted development funding. Julian was listed as her clinical partner. The foundation is independent, Mara said. It received our preliminary notice yesterday. My phone lit up. Celeste had sent me a photograph of 2 gold gala tickets. I saved you a seat. Julian thinks it would upset you, but you deserve to see what your sacrifice made possible. My attorney read the message and muttered something in Hindi that required no translation. I'm going, I said. You are not required to confront them, Mara said. I know. The foundation may postpone. It may act privately. Then I'll watch it act privately. I looked again at the fabricated safety chart. Celeste believed Subject 17 could be useful without being real. I intended to introduce us. Theo visited my rental house on Sunday with soup, chocolate, and a paper bag full of lemons. Are the lemons medical? I asked. They were next to the soup. That doesn't answer anything. Your neurological recovery has made you suspicious. He cooked while I worked through hand exercises at the kitchen table. He used every pan in the house and produced enough soup for a hockey team. Since transferring my care, he had visited twice a week. He never arrived without texting. He never touched my cane, my medication, or me unless I asked. The restraint between us felt less like distance than a door he was holding open. After lunch, I split the sea salt caramel bar and handed him half. "Tell me about the wedding," I said. Theo stopped unwrapping his piece. "Julian said I changed my mind about inviting you." He called the morning of the ceremony. "He said you had confessed that our relationship was an embarrassing detour and wanted me to stay away." "And you believed him?" "No. That hurt worse." Theo rubbed the scar beside his mouth, an old habit from graduate school. "I drove to the church. I sat across the street for 40 minutes. Then I decided showing up would make your day about me. So I left. You could have called." "I was proud, and I was afraid you would confirm it. So you let Julian answer for me." "Yes." He met my eyes. "It was cowardly. I have wished for a more flattering explanation, but one has not appeared. I thought about the years we had lost because 2 men assumed they knew which conversation I could handle. I don't need another person deciding what truth will protect me. I know." "No, you know now." He accepted the correction. "I know now." Theo finished his chocolate and washed the dishes. He did not ask me to forgive him because he had apologized well. That evening, I showed him Celeste's gala invitation. "I want to tell you not to go," he said. "But you would go anyway, and I would become annoying background noise." Accurate. "So I will ask a different question. Do you want me there?" I imagined entering the ballroom alone with my cane, while Julian and Celeste stood beneath their clean safety chart. My chest tightened before my asthma did. "Yes, then I'll be there." He pulled his coat on at the door. "Theo." He turned. I kissed him. It was brief, awkward because of the cane between us, and entirely my decision. When I stepped back, he looked stunned. "Is there a question you should ask?" I said. "Several, but I appear to have lost language. Try the obvious one. May I kiss you again?" "Not yet," he smiled. Cruel, but informed. After he left, I found the second half of his chocolate on the counter with a note beneath it. "No rush, no debt. I ate it anyway."